right, before we can get started, we always say our mantra in art class to remind us how amazing an artist we are and confident and ready to learn. So here we go. If you want to say it along with me, go ahead. I'm going to do the sign language as well. My mantra: I am positive, I am creative, I am mindful, I am amazing, I am an artist. Let's get started. Okay, so today you actually have a little bit of an assignment outside. So I went outside into my yard and I found about 30 rocks. Now for this project, you're going to need 26 if you're going to do the same thing along with me. Now, of course, you don't have to do the exact same thing I'm doing in the video, but if you want to, 26 rocks is what I picked out. I looked for the smoothest and flattest rocks, or rocks with a flat side on them, in my yard. If you do not have rocks at home in your own yard, make sure that you ask a parent or somebody at home where you could get some before you just go take them, because you wouldn't want to take them out of somebody else's yard without permission. If you don't have any rocks around you where you live, you could probably use shells from the beach or something else to do this very same thing.
Now that I have my rocks ready to go, I put them in a bucket of water and I decided to shake them up to get all the dirt and dust off of them. If you have shells or rocks from outdoors, it's important that you wash them with water and dry them with a towel. That way you make sure that all of that dust, dirt, and sand, or whatever it is cleaned off before you start painting. Now I am using acrylic paint to paint my rocks. That's just because it's going to be the paint that dries quickest and is the thickest and most opaque, so that you can't see the rock color through it. But if you don't have acrylic paint, it's okay. You can use whatever you have and work with it. If you don't have paint, use whatever you have. Markers and crayons could work too, but if you are using a washable paint and notice it's see-through, it might be because you have too much water on your brush, or maybe the paint itself is just translucent, meaning you can see through it and see the rock color underneath. I'm trying not to get that, so what I did to my yellow is I added white to it. Adding white to any of your colors will make it thicker. That will make it so that you can't see through to the rock. Now you can also add white to any of your colors to make a tint. A tint of a color is when you add white to make it light. So if you would like to take red and add white, well, that makes a tint, and that's pink. So I decided that I was going to add white to each of my colors as well on a separate rock. That way I can extend my rainbow into different tints and shades of each color. After I lay my rocks out in rainbow order, I'm going to get a pencil and start to trace or to sketch out the letters of the alphabet. I'm doing capital letters from A all the way to Z. So I'm taking my pencil and lightly sketching out a capital letter on each one. This is because it's a little difficult to write on a rock. And I'm going to go over top of it with paint right after. I'm using white paint and a very, very skinny or tiny paintbrush to trace over my pencil letters with that white paint, making sure that I'm keeping my paintbrush like a ballerina on its tippy toes, making sure that that point is the only thing that touches the rock with the paint. That way I make sure that I'm getting that thin letter, because otherwise I would need a really big rock with a big paintbrush to be able to fit the letter so that you could read it. So it's important that I'm making sure my letters aren't too thick that you can't read them anymore and they take up the entire rock. Now, if you don't have white paint or a small paintbrush, you could absolutely do this with a permanent marker. Now, it's important that that marker would be permanent if you're doing this on top of paint, because otherwise it's probably going to wipe off and not work so well on top of the painted surface. So you could absolutely do this with a Sharpie marker or other permanent marker brand if you don't have a paintbrush small enough to do this part of the lettering. Any way that you can do this, it's really great fine motor skills practice. Now, to give myself even more of a challenge, and maybe a challenge for any of my older students, if you've also painted the back of the rock and it's dry, you can flip it over. And on the reverse side, I'm going to make a capital cursive letter. So I'm doing cursive letters of the alphabet A to Z on the opposite side. Now, if you look at the links under here on the video, I'm going to link you to the exact alphabet that I used for my cursive letters if you're interested. It's a free PDF download that you'll be able to download to look at how I made these letters, because I know cursive is something that our older students are still learning or maybe haven't learned before. before. Maybe this is the first time they might be trying cursive. So if you want to challenge yourself, this part is totally optional. Or if you wanted to, on the opposite side of your rock, you could do lowercase letters. That's another idea that you could do, so you get practice at double-siding those rocks with a different type of letter, either capital, and on the back you could do lowercase, or you could do capitals, and then on the back you could do cursive. So I'm going through the same process that I did with the front of my rocks, but on the back I went ahead with pencil and sketched out the cursive letter of the alphabet, and then did it with the paint. Now that that's dry, I'm going to take it one step further and use my Sharpie. Now I did say that you could use a Sharpie just to do the letter of the alphabet by itself, but I'm taking it one step further and I'm going to outline my white painted letter. That way it really, really makes my letter stand out. Again, all of this is optional. If you don't have a Sharpie to do that or don't want to take the time to outline your letters, that is absolutely fine. When I'm done, this is another optional part, I'm going to take clear spray coat and I'm going to coat my letters and my rocks front and then let them dry and then do the back. Of course, this part is totally optional. If you don't have a clear coat spray, you could use Mod Podge or not do it at all. It's only that way if you wanted to stack your rocks to spell a word. Sometimes that rock stacking rock to rock is going to chip the paint a little bit, but I'm sure it'll be fine, and have fun spelling out different words. For one, stay home. I'm making this video from home because we can't be together in the art room and I miss you so much. It might be a good idea to have some extra rocks in case you're missing a letter, like I can't spell out the full miss. So make sure that you're having fun, and if you take a picture and do this art lesson, upload it to Artsonia. I love you, I miss you, see you soon.